Warning! Tube amplifiers have lethal voltages inside them. Please do not attempt to build, test, or repair these without understanding and following all safety protocols. Hey y'all! We're here to start another fun series. This time, it's the Boyuurange Reisong A12. One of the viewers was kind enough to ship me a new-in-the-box A12 to review and then look it over, see if I see any design flaws or things that could be improved, and do the modifications just like we did on the A50. I'm hoping that, given how popular this EL34 amp is, that this one doesn't have the flaws that we saw in the A50, and that it's actually closer to what they're advertising it. But who knows? Until we put this thing on a scope and put it on the audio analyzer suite with the Analog Discovery 2, we don't really know what this thing's doing. Obviously, I know what a good EL34 amp sounds like, so let's get on the unboxing, see what's inside this thing, and then get ready to start figuring out what this thing can really do. So we're going to and this does look like a factory sealed box. Of course, it's got the Amazon stuff, the made in China. Yep, it looks just like the packaging the A50 came in. So I'm going to flip it over, lift off the outer box, and I'll take those little things and toss them over there. Flip the amp back over. These and toss them over there. And let's see what's inside there. Okay, got some little drawings here showing you how not to put the tubes in. And a little fault finding thing. Tells you a boot sequence, which seems kind of strange. Shows you how to plug in the tubes. It's got several pages on how to plug in the tubes. That's mostly what that is. They actually give me a schematic. Cool, I thought I was going to have to go try to hunt one down. And it looks like they've paralleled a 12 AX7, and it just feeds to the grid of the EL34. It's got an ultralinear tap output transformer, 22 UF coupling cap. None of this looks crazy. It's got a unbypassed resistor on the cathode of the driver tube, and a little higher value, what I call a safety cap, probably a little higher value grid stopper than I would use. There's no grid stopper on the EL34. 500K on the cathode, that sounds good. Trying to see if it shows. Doesn't talk about the voltages here. And it's only got a 400 volt rated first cap, which seems, I don't know. We'll have to see what they're running the B plus at. It could be that's where the problem's going to be, is they're trying to run too low a B plus. But anyway, at least we got a schematic to go on, right? So let's see what's in here. Warning tips. They had a 20% damage rate on their amps in 2007, and it's 1 to 2% now. Found the vacuum tube, the transformer becomes very hot after use. Is this normal? Please don't worry, this is normal. What should I do if the machine emits smoke? Don't worry. This is fun. Talk about possibilities of coming with bad tubes. So clearly they don't test these things before they ship them, or they would weed out the bad tubes. So let's flip this thing over. Like I said, this looks exactly like the packaging. They had the A50. Actually, it looks like might even be the same chassis. If not, it's real close. And I'm gonna edit ahead to unwrapping all this crap off of this thing. So I'll be right back. Okay, got that off. Here's our power cord. Let's see if they sent a US one. They did. That's a bonus. Unlike one of the preamps where they sent, I have no idea what kind of power cord that was. And it does look like they, oh. Looks like one of the speaker terminals is broken in half. Well, I've got some of those. I can repair that. Glad I'm unboxing this for the camera, so. Yep, that speaker jack right there, broken off. So, anyway, I've got some of these. These are just the little cheapy ones, and they just bolt in. I don't even think I'm gonna have to like solder or anything. So then, at this point, we pop this cage off, and I'm gonna assume they put the tubes inside there. And let's see what kind of tubes this thing comes with. There we go. Put the little cage over there. Okay, they're in PS vein boxes, and let's see how they did this. There's 5 tube holes, and there's 4 boxes. And see, that's what makes me question these are real PS vein tubes, because there's no writing on any of these boxes. Okay, now that is a PS vein tube, because it says it right on the tube. So there's one tube. And yep, it's got the PS vein logo on it. So I'm going to assume those are real PS vein EL34s. And one thing I noted already that they did do right, they have the plates of these beam power tubes facing away from the output transformers. So it's not just blasting the heat at the transformer. So that's something they did do right. I'm going to assume that was by design. And let's hope. Okay, they got the 212 AX7s, and these are labeled PS vein 2s. ECC83s, which are the same as 12 AX7s. We'll pop those in. And the pins aren't bent or anything weird. So far, so good. And assume this is the rectifier tube. And this is where I'm expecting to see a real piece of crap, but we'll see what they sent. Yeah, this is one of those 5Z4 rectifier tubes, which I'm not a fan of. These things drop the voltage like crazy. And this may be where we can get the B plus up, is popping a 5A or 4 in here. Probably have to upgrade the capacitors in the power supply to be able to handle the extra voltage, and may even have to go to a solid state power supply to get the voltage where we need to see it. But again, all that's speculation until we open this thing up and start poking around inside it. There it is. I mean, you either like the way these things look or you don't. I mean, I don't think it's a bad looking amp. I wouldn't build one with these weird little things in the corner, but it's got a really nice chrome finish on it. It's got these vents to help vent the heat out of the inside of the case, and it's got auxiliary and CD on the back. The source change button is on the back, which is kind of strange. I mean, if you're going to go to the trouble of putting a multi-selection source, why wouldn't you just put it on the front? You have to reach around the amp to swap the things. You might as well just swap the cables. But the cage fits on it like this, which, honestly, if you do have like kids or dogs or something, you'd be worried about people reaching in and touching this. It's kind of a nice safety thing. And you can still see the tubes. It gets plenty of ventilation. So, for a production amplifier, that's probably a good thing to have to come with. Obviously, none of the ones I build have that, and somebody could touch the tubes and burn themselves. So that's a nice little safety feature. And the thing does weigh a lot. The bottom cover's ventilated. So there we go. That's the unboxing and putting the tubes in this thing. And again, the tube, all these tubes look okay. I do have some better tubes that I can put in this thing to try out and see if that makes a difference in the sound. I've got some Gold Lion 12AX7s, and I know they're cheap, but I really like the way that the EL34 sound. So we can compare these to these PS vanes, and I may even try popping these PS vanes in my 6SQ7 amp and see how they compare. So we are going to have to go inside and replace this broken jack. So it will be interesting to see what the inside of this thing looks like, and even more so, how this thing performs when it's put on the scope and we really start looking at how this thing performs. This has been a pretty short video. I think I'm going to go ahead and pop the bottom off of it and take a peek inside and see what the inside of this amp looks like. And then once I get this off and do a little glance over at the inside, I'll bring the camera over closer and let y'all take a peek inside too. And I'm sure they would say this already voids the warranty, taking the bottom off, but that's okay. I'm sure they'll be happy to not have to have this thing set back for this broken speaker jack, or that one there. And I don't have any just like this. I'm sure I can come up with something though. Okay, a lot of point-to-point wiring, and I can already tell that it's not exactly following the schematic. Yeah, the schematic they sent shows two 1K resistors on the cathode of the EL34, and there's just one big one, big wire wound one. And then it's got, it's got a 220 UF cap there. The power supply's on a circuit board, but the rest of it's all wired point to point. So if we do need to do any modifying to it, it'll be fairly easy to do so. Looks like it's got a orange drop coupling cap, which will be easy enough to swap out for one of my favorite little Mundorfs. Looks like they did put some diodes across the rectifier, knowing how crappy these rectifier tubes are. They've made half of it solid state to protect it from shorting out, because they probably know it's going to. It's got, the grounding looks reasonable. It looks like they're using the circuit board for the star ground point. And they've got a couple of tag strips. Yeah, I don't have time to super dig into what they're doing here. It looks like they may be, I don't know what, okay, I see what they're doing there. Yeah, they just paralleled the two AX7s, which isn't a bad thing. That helps give it the, some current to drive the thing. We'll see how much voltage swing they've got going into the input of the EL34. A 12AX7 is a pretty hot tube. It's got the same amplification factor that the 6SQ7 has, and by paralleling it, it's got more current. So it should have enough drive. I guess the main thing to see is how much B plus are they feeding this thing. And if the B plus is super low, I mean, if it's, 350 volts or something, it's going to, limit how much power this thing can produce, as well as how low the distortion numbers will be. And I also don't know, they've got a 75K plate load resistor, which seems a little low. And let me see what else they've done here. And then the resistor for the decoupling network for the driver stage seems a little high. So we may swap those values and try to get some more voltage swing out of the amp. Again, we'll have to see where this thing's at, where it's biased at, and all that stuff. Before I close the video, I'm going to flip this around and show you what the inside looks like. Well, as you can see, the inside's all point-to-point wired, which is easier to modify if we do end up having to change some stuff. Here's the wire-round cathode resistor with the bypass cap. Here's a little orange drop coupling cap. This is the plate load resistor. Here's the rectifier tube. It's kind of hard to see. There's a couple little diodes here that they're put in there to protect the rectifier tube. They did put a cap across the on-off switch, which is nice. Looks like it's got honestly a really cheap looking volume control knob, which, if it works, it works, but that may be something we can upgrade and put an Alps pot in there. Trying to see if there's any. It's got a really big reservoir cap, and then it's got two other caps. I'm gonna have to look at how that's all wired up. This is the power transformer, and here's the choke, and I have no idea. It doesn't say on here. Sometimes these China amps have the voltage written on the bottom of them. This one doesn't. And to figure out if they do have this with a 120 volt wiring, I will need to see what the voltage is going to the heaters on the tubes. And that pretty much tells the story. If it's within spec, then they've wired it with 120 volts. If it's extra high, then they put a 110 volt transformer in it. We'll have to use a bucking transformer with it. So anyway, I think this is going to be easy to work with if we do have to do some modifications to it. And it doesn't look like a defectively designed circuit just looking at the schematic. At least it's not something that couldn't be fixed with some resistor value tweaks, unless the B plus is just super low. And I hope that we have the ability to get the B plus up to 400, 420 volts, and then I know this thing will rock and roll. If it's down at 350 or 330, it's going to be difficult to do much with it without changing out the power transformer. And trying to find this style of laydown transformer that these China amps use is really difficult. So let's go back and do a wrap up on this video. And that's it. At least for this episode. We're going to jump into, first I got to fix the speaker jack, then we're going to put this thing on the scope, see what kind of swings we get, where the hard clipping starts, see what kind of signal we're getting into the grid of the EL34, check all the voltages, see what the B plus is, and then put this thing on the Analog Discovery 2 with the audio analyzer suite and do some distortion pulls, the power versus power versus THD, and see what this thing actually does compared to what it's advertised as being. I'm honestly going to be surprised if this thing puts out more than 3 watts, but we will see. Anyway, hope you're enjoying the channel. If you are, please subscribe. Please like the video. And I'll see you soon for more A12 fun. Have a great day.